And good morning in Islam at 9. James Phillips here on WJLX. Just got in. It was my car was frozen over. I'm sorry that I held you up there
okay.
for a second. It's kind of cold out there too.
It is. I'm kind of glad you were late because I wasn't sure if I was going to be here on time.
We've got our special guest today, Stephen Aycock, and remind us the groups that you have a couple of different grief groups at Samaria Baptist Church.
Right.
Tell us about each group.
Well, we've got the Lost Group, which we started about 4 years ago. It deals specifically with parents who have lost a child. And it doesn't matter what age, it doesn't matter whether 6 weeks old, whether even in utero, if they were 40 years old, it doesn't matter. And we're very specific about that group because the type of loss that they experience, we all hate to lose someone. But when you lose a child, it does things to you, and it's difficult. So we've got 150 members, or over 150 members on Facebook. We have probably 10 to 20 that come on a regular basis.
Right.
Now, the survivor group has to do with just people that have lost a child. I'm sorry, people that have lost a loved one. And Morris Murray actually just took that one over.
Okay.
From Samaria Baptist Church.
And tell us what days they meet on. What days does...
It's every other Tuesday, and actually we meet tonight at 7.
Okay.
So both groups will meet at Samaria Baptist Church at 7 o'clock. Morris will run the survivor group, and I run the lost group.
Okay. And then you are also doing a show here on 88.5 FM called From Grief to God.
Right.
And it's basically the same as the support group, but over the radio, and people can listen in and find inspiration and someone to be able to talk to about what they're going through, I guess.
Yes, and you know, we cover a lot of things. We losing a child or losing a loved one can be morbid, but the idea is that you work through the grief, not that you stand in it.
Right.
Because it becomes a quagmire. It becomes something that is that just will suck you down. Unlike most other things, every other kind of loss or depression that we face, when we lose a child or when we lose someone that we just that has been part of our life so much, there is no bottom. You think that you're going to get low enough and you'll hit bottom and you'll be okay. You never do. You just swirl around the bottom.
Right.
And it's very difficult.
Right. Now, I want to talk about each group and the show as well. So let's first talk, though, just about your personal experience, why you're involved in groups like this. What is it? I know that you lost a child, but
Right.
Tell everyone a little bit about your story and why you do what you do.
Well, I'm what you call an armchair philosopher, meaning that I've got to know the answer to something, whether it's right or wrong. At least I think I understand.
Right. You have to at least feel
Right.
like you've got a little bit
Yes.
of a clue on it.
Doesn't mean I'm right. It
Right.
just means that I have to walk away with some kind of understanding. And so when my son passed away, there was no understanding. I'm very much of a Christian, but the biggest thing that most of us struggle with is why would God, who loves us all, take our child?
Right.
I mean, it just doesn't make sense. And so when you're forced to deal with something like that, you start researching your Bible, you start talking to people, and you begin to understand many things, but it takes a while. And so I had a friend of mine, she actually runs a support group for AA, and she said, you ought to start a group. And I thought, I guess I will. Because I started writing, I've written multiple articles, I've been published on several, and then I write for the Walker Leader at times on grief. And I just feel like pain like that has to be experienced, if you can help someone else pull themselves out of that hole, then at least, at the very minimum, they didn't die for nothing.
Right. Yeah, definitely so.
And so that's where we are. And I tell you, the people that I am with, the Lost Group, we have a core group that's been there for, I guess, 3 going on 4 years that just don't hardly miss. Any one of them could run that group, and they do. There's times that if I can't make it, they'll cover. And we wait for somebody to come in because that really gives our children's loss a little bit of meaning.
Right.
Where we can help someone else that's distraught or losing it. And so it's when we have someone that's new, it's just a better day for us.
Right. Well, and I know there are people out there listening and watching on Facebook and YouTube who have lost a child. And what's usually your first words to somebody when they come into the group and you're meeting them for the first time and you know why they're there? So.
Well, first I want to make them feel comfortable. I let them know that whatever we discuss in group stays in group. There has to be a certain amount of anonymity. Also, to be transparent, because you'll be surprised at how all of us are so much of the same.
Oh, yeah.
And we have little quirks that we do that are coping skills. For instance, one lady, she kept all her son's clothes in baggies. And she would open the baggies up every now and then and smell.
Yeah.
Because it smelled like her son. Sometimes, like one lady couldn't clean his room for years.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing they want to know is, when do I get to go back to being normal?
Right.
When will this nightmare be over? And
they probably don't like the answer.
They don't because the point is now there's a new normal.
Right.
It's kind of like getting used to a new set of shoes, new kind of boots that you got to break in, because the timeline that you were on, in your mind, whether you were right or not, you had your kids going to high school, then going to college, getting married, having 2.5 kids,
right.
White picket fence in Airedale. And that's the life that you envision for your kids. Now, we all know that that's not likely to happen.
Right.
But when that child passes away, there's a huge hole now. And so you're still trying to travel on that timeline, but the child's not there anymore. So once you accept the fact that they've passed away, that there's a new timeline, it doesn't make it easier, but you're on the road to recovery.
Right.
And do you know who Elizabeth Kubler-Ross was? She wrote the book on death and dying.
No, I don't know.
She's very much of a noted authority, and I got to go listen to her speak at Stanford University. And I was going to be totally bored, right? I thought to myself, I don't want to go here, but I'm going to. This happened way before my son passed.
Yeah.
In fact, my son was about 8 at this time, and he passed away at 20. But anyway, I see this little woman get on stage, 5'0", probably 70 years old at the time. And the minute she opened her mouth, she was just captivating.
Right.
I mean, the way she talked and everything else. And I learned so much just from that 1 2-hour session. And I realized the depth of pain that's associated with the loss.
Yeah.
And never realizing that I would ever be doing something like this.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sitting in that moment, you didn't
Yeah.
know you were going to take all this information in and have to use it at some point.
Right.
You know, I guess you see people in every stage of grief.
You do, and the stages of grief are kind of what's the word I'm looking for? They kind of give you a false interpretation of grief. For instance, the stages are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance.
Right.
Now, when a person begins going down that road, you're going to go in and out of each stage. You may not ever reach acceptance, at least not for years. But you're going to be in denial, back and forth. You're going to be in anger, bargaining. Bargaining is something that usually happens at the very beginning.
Right.
And when I say bargaining, that means you get that phone call, and you say, no, that didn't happen. That couldn't happen.
Right.
And you get called to hospital, and you know that can't be. It can't be, and you just scream. Can I tell you what happened with my son?
Oh, definitely.
So I'm at UAB. I'm a nurse, and I was in between deployments, and I get a patient that's going bad, and I'm running there, and I'm a charge nurse on the trauma unit. So I'm working with him. We got doctors in there, anesthesiologists. We're doing chest compressions, and I get a call on my phone. I don't answer it, and still working. I get another call on my phone. It's in my back pocket. I don't answer it. Actually, I had a razor phone. Remember those razors I used to have?
Yeah.
So after it was over with, I get out my phone. And the first message was, he's dead, he's dead. Ryan's dead. And the second message was, paramedics are here. They can't get a heartbeat. They're taking him to the hospital. I believe your son's dead. So I had to drive an hour to where he was, and to identify the body. And the whole time I'm driving, I have great faith.
Right.
So I know that he's going to be all right, because my son was troubled. He was what I call a good old boy.
Right.
Never really in trouble, but never really out of trouble. Always in a little bit of something, you
Right.
know? And always manipulating. He was 20 when he passed, and he was just starting to turn that corner. He had gotten a job with the Boilermakers and was having problems, but doing okay. And anyway, I get to the hospital, and the nurse that was the head nurse there wouldn't let me see him. And it's so funny how people, when you are the father or mother of a drug addict, sometimes the hospital projects the feelings of the drug addict onto you.
Right.
Like, you must be a terrible parent because they're in there dead.
Right.
And this girl that was the charge nurse actually had her arms full. She was one of my students when I was teaching, and now she's got this condescending look. And I still didn't know he's passed away.
Yeah.
I said, well, I'm just going to go check on him. And she says, if you go, Steve, I'll call security. Well, now I'm mad.
Right.
So I just start going through the rooms.
And if you're like me, I was going to say that would make you try to go to him faster.
Yeah. And when finally I get to the trauma bay at that hospital, and I see two security guards. One of them's 70, and one of them's 22. Well, the 70-year-old puts his hand on my shoulder, and he says, Mr. Aycock, you can't go in there. And I said, oh, man. I said, you can either watch me pass from the side over there, or you can watch me pass from the flat of your back.
Right.
And he just jerked his hand away. And when he did, my own words kind of resonated in my mind. And I couldn't believe I said that.
Yeah, because that's not typically you.
And I just drop on my knees, and I just start crying. And his hand just kind of come into view, and he pulled me up and said, come on, son, I'll take you to him. And I went in there, and that chest that I had laid my head on 1,000 times, it was just cold, and I just sat there and I just cried. And I'll tell you, every loss is rough for every parent. And this is my own opinion, only my own opinion. But when a mother loses a child, I remember my wife at the time came in, and when she saw him, she let out a scream that I still hear that scream in my mind. It's been 20 years.
Yeah.
And it'll raise the hair on my arms. It's like a wounded animal. And but anyway, that was his story.
Right.
And Ryan and I were not the typical. We could talk like you and I. We would talk for hours, and I would think that I had made so much progress. He'd be, yeah, Dad, and he would give me feedback. We'd just be going back and forth, great conversation. And it wasn't until after he passed that I realized he was doing what every smart teenage kid does, is he tells you what you want to hear.
Right.
Because he doesn't want you to be hurt.
And he doesn't want you to be disappointed either.
No, he doesn't. He wants you to feel comfortable that you've actually done something. But the minute he was out of my sight, he was doing what he wanted to do.
Right. It's anybody who listens to that story, whether you've gone through that type of loss or not, has to be able to feel that pain and how that there's no way that would ever go away.
No, and it changes you forever. I feel like, too, we talked about the 5 stages: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. I think that guilt should be a part of that
Right. Yes.
because so many people, and it manifests itself in 2 ways. You either have the what ifs. What if I had done this a certain day? What if I went and talked to them? Did I talk to them too much? Did I talk to them too little? Should I have been more tough love? Should I have been less? And that will haunt you.
Right.
And that
And I'm sure that will haunt you for years.
it still haunts me now.
Yeah. My wife lost her brother about 4 years ago, and it's not her child, but even just in the loss of a family member, you have that guilt where you think you could have done something.
Right.
And she still thinks that.
Right. And let me ask you this: if you had a child that went to Harvard or Yale, which one of us wouldn't stick our chest out and say, "I must have done something right"?
Right. Yeah.
Same thing when they pass away. We accept a certain amount of that, whether it's right or whether it's wrong. We accept a certain amount of that responsibility, and actually, it's more wrong than right.
Right.
Because what we have to understand, not for all things, but for some things, it's they have to be responsible for their actions, and when they're not, when we assume all of that responsibility, it's a lot of weight for us to carry.
Oh, definitely so. I want to remind everybody this is Live at 9 with James Phillips on WJLX. This morning we're talking with Stephen Adcock. Is that say?
Aycock.
Aycock.
Yeah.
Stephen Aycock. He hosts a grief support group at Samaria Baptist Church for people who have lost a child, and then they also have another grief support group that meets, and they meet on every other Tuesday. Right.
Right.
Tonight is the next meeting, and he would love to see anyone come who's lost a child to his group, and anybody who's lost a relative. It could be recently. It could be that you lost a relative 20 years ago, and you still need to talk about it. They've got a couple of great groups there at Samaria Baptist Church. I want to take one quick little break real quick, and then when we come back, we'll talk more about the other group and also talk about the show that he's doing here on 88.5 FM. We'll be right back on Live at 9 with James Phillips. And we are back on Live at 9 here on this cool Tuesday morning. We've got Stephen Aycock with us, and I said that he was with Samaria Baptist Church with their grief support groups that they have. And in the break, we were talking about one of the stages of grief that I think people will come back to so often is anger. And you said that you've talked quite a bit on that before.
Right. A lot of times we think of anger as being a little bit sacrilegious. And the truth of it is, you can go from cover to cover from the Old Testament to the New Testament, and you'll find nothing where God gets upset with us because we're angry with him. And I believe personally is that because you'll never find you can't be angry at somebody unless you believe in him.
Right.
So when you're really mad at God, you are really demonstrating faith, and you're saying, God, why my child? See, we all believe that children pass away. We have no problem with that. We just don't think it's going to happen to us.
Exactly.
We all believe our parents are going to pass away, but it's not going to happen to us, not right now, because there's too much going on. And,
you believe and you tell people they're in a better place, or things like that. But that's easy to say until it happens.
Right, and that is the whole point of it, is that there comes a moment when you go down that rabbit hole that there is no answer. There just isn't, and you'll have to be standing before God and say, why did that happen? Because as a nurse of 30 years, I saw the innocent baby, 6 months old, pass away. I saw the old, mean, colorful metaphors kind of person that lived to be 100 years old. Now, again, I have to speak from my own perspective. I don't push my beliefs on anyone, but I just want you to understand where I'm coming from. I believe the old person that is mean and hateful, whatever, is given all this time to repent, to come back to God. The young child is going to be in heaven. Now that is little comfort for us that have lost down here. And I hate to say this, but it's just so true. We forget that our lifetime is like a vapor.
Exactly.
It's just a puff of smoke. And the things that are so difficult for us to handle in this life, we forget that and tomorrow we'll be 20 years older. And the next day we pass. And where we're going needs to be the paramount important, what we're focused on. I'm going to be up there with my son. And I'll tell you what I got to hear with him. As I told you, he was troubled. But we would talk about God all the time. And I remember a few days right before he passed away, I was trying to get him to go to church with me. And he said, well, Dad, he was 20. He says, I'm going to go cut this grass. I got to make some money. And I said, look, that grass is going to be there. Just come with me to church. He said, Dad, I believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. He said, I say my prayers on my knees at night. He said, I forgive everybody that's ever done me wrong. He said, what else is there? And I kind of sat there a minute. I said, I hear you and I understand. But until you put on the armor of God every day, until you read your Bible every day, you're not going to stay in the right place. Because just my belief, when we say our prayers, the minute we get up off our knees and start walking away, we're walking away from God.
Right.
Because then we become part of the world again.
Right.
Because we start living in the flesh. Everything that is not of God starts bombarding us. Every TV that we watch, advertisements, shows, radio, music, everything is bombarding us and telling us.
Social media.
Oh God!
That's
Don't even get me started with that.
Yeah,
one.
I know.
And I am, God. I'm just going to dabble in this just a minute. I like Trump, but I'll leave that. I'm just going to touch this. But if I go on Fox, I get that Trump is the greatest man in the world. If I go on CNN, I get that he's the worst. Now, you can't tell me that both of those camps, all of them agree. And it's all about ratings. It's all about, listen, you be the good cop, I'll be the bad cop, or vice versa, however you want to perceive yourself.
Right.
And it's the same thing with everything that we do. and without understanding that we live in the flesh and that the world is coming, that the devil is coming after us, the best place for us to stay is on our knees.
Right.
Is to pray for our children, get them in church, have a Bible study. I have Bible study with my kids once every 2 weeks, I guess, and we sit around and we talk about God. When we leave the sermon of church, I said, "What did you get out of that?
Right.
What did you hear that I didn't hear?" So that's kind of what we do.
Yeah. Well, and talk about your show a little bit. You did your first one a couple weeks ago? Is that right?
First one, about a month and a half.
Month and a half. Okay. And then we
Yeah.
did one last week.
Yeah.
And it'll be coming up. It's going to be every other Monday?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Every other Monday.
What? Tell us a little bit why you decided to do that.
Well, it was just kind of to raise awareness. When we started the Survivor Group, I started it. Now, remember, the Survivor Group was the ones that dealt with all kinds of
All
loss.
kinds of loss, yeah.
Because when we got to looking in Jasper, there just isn't hardly any place. I used to think that the Methodist Church, and I called them and found out that no, they don't actually have a grief group.
Right.
Now, you do have, I believe it's called the Heart in town.
Yeah, the counseling.
Yeah,
group,
I hear
Heart, yeah.
they're very good.
And then I think Jasper First Baptist has one, but it's not a regular. They do it maybe once a year.
That's
or something
right.
Like that.
Yes, that's right. And but I felt like that for the holidays there needed to be more availability just in case.
Right.
When I put it on Facebook, we went from 0 to almost 200 in 4 days
Yeah.
of people. Now, you get people, and this is nothing against them, who say, "Oh, I love this idea of going to this group. I want to be there. I'm struggling. I'm doing this, and I'm just going to be there." But when it comes time to get into the car and drive, it's very hard because they're already struggling with it personally.
Right.
And now the thought of walking into a church with other people
That you don't know.
and now you're going to lay yourself open.
Right.
Very, very hard.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Very hard.
And so this having it on the radio gives them a chance to. I would say it gives them a chance to kind of get to know you, and then kind of ipso facto know the group, so that they will come to the group a little easier, maybe.
I think so. I think so. I want them to see what they're getting. And the thing about a group is, I'm not a licensed counselor. I'm an RN. I have a little psych exposure. That was it. But now Morris, he has got more degrees than I have letters in my name.
I knew when we talked the other day, you said he is the licensed counselor.
And he is an awesome person. He's a great preacher too. I love to listen to him. But when you go to a group like this, you want to know that, like I said before, that everything is private, that you feel comfortable. But you'd be surprised. It's kind of like if you had a bad infection in a wound in your leg. And it's been...
I've been there before.
Yeah, yeah, I know you have. And so you rip that dressing off, and that poison's in there, and you get all that poison out. You have to cut it open, and then you put a fresh bandage over it. And at first, it's so painful, it's so terrible. But then when you're walking out of the doctor's office, you go, I feel a little bit better. You know, that infection's gone. I feel a little bit better. And it's not totally healed. Yet that wound may never be healed, but you feel better.
Right.
And when you find also people that are like you, that actually have some of the same coping skills or lack of coping skills. And that's another problem is people with extremely poor coping skills. They try to medicate it.
Right.
With either drugs or alcohol. And self-medication is one of the worst things that happens. And we've seen that as well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, remind everybody what time the show is. It's going to be Mondays, every other Monday at 8 o'clock?
8 o'clock. Every other Monday at 8 o'clock. And I'm trying to get it where we do it every first Monday and every...
First and third?
Third Monday, yeah.
Okay.
So that we can have a little bit of reliability with that.
And then also the groups are... Which Tuesday? Is it every other Tuesday as well?
Every other Tuesday, and we'll have like the we'll have a group tonight
Right.
on the 27th, and so that means that the next one would be
Maybe second. It's the second Tuesday in
yeah,
February.
be on
right?
the 10th, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And I wanted to read something to you if I could.
Yes, please do. And I want to tell you, whenever we talked the other day to kind of set this up, and with you being a nurse, and if you ever decide to do a near-death experience show, I'll definitely come and listen in and talk a little bit. If you've got a few others that can share their stories too.
I love near-death experiences. I've read Closer to the Light,
Right.
And a bunch of those, and I have grown to believe, in, like I said, the 30 years I've been a nurse, that God gives us that brief glimpse to share with others.
Yeah.
But this is something that I wrote about grief, and it's very, very short. It's be careful of grief. She masquerades as the angel of death. In our saddest moments, we tend to hold her instead of letting go. Hugging the angel of death only seems like we're closer to the ones we lost. It's as if we honor them by not letting them go. And not only not letting go, but at times wishing we were dead as well. We tell ourselves we will never forget them, so it is our heartfelt but misguided belief that we must feel that pain every day just to honor them. That for us the rain cannot stop, the darkness must consume us, and the loneliness must now be a part of our life. Unfortunately, everything I've just mentioned is true, but it does not have to be to the extent that we die every day. Grief lies to us. We do not have to crawl in bed with death to be close to the ones we've lost. Of all the things unimaginable, grief does not want to be alone. She craves company and longs for your attention so she can consume others as well. It is at times that we must remember our faith. God is with them. They are with God. We must not miss the opportunity to tell others about how they lived with our joyous memories, not to live in the pain of their loss. Grief craves your death. Jesus died so that we could live, and not alone, but with them. Suicide fixes nothing and only brings someone else to sit at the feet of grief. And that's it.
That definitely is true, and I think that's a great way to end the show for today. And I appreciate you coming on. I think this is a great conversation to have, and anytime you want to come back, I think you got plenty to talk about.
Yeah, I enjoyed this life, and we could. My dad said I could talk about any subject I wanted for 30 minutes, whether I know about it or not.
Yeah, I'm the same way. That's why I can do this every day. And I really do. Like, I appreciate your ministry in this. I think it's a great thing that you're doing, just to reach out to help others, and you'll definitely be in my prayers. You've already reached many more than one, and that's something to celebrate. But I hope many people come and get their heart healed a little bit through these groups.
Well, thank you for having me, and I appreciate the opportunity. This has been really great, and I enjoyed this. This is great.
Yeah. All right, guys, thanks for listening this morning. We'll be back tomorrow. Donna Kilgore, who is now the director of Beacon House, former director of the Jasper Area Family Services Center, is going to be in to talk about her time. I think it was 30 years at the service center, and then now taking over and being in charge of Beacon House. It'd be good to get information from her. And then the rest of the week, we've got plenty scheduled. Until tomorrow, be kind and love, and we'll see you tomorrow morning on Live at 9 with James Phillips here on WJLX.